Oh, that smells amazing. I can't sip my new tea yet because it's boiling hot, but it's pucker and it's called Love. It is a heartwarming touch of organic rose, chamomile and lavender, and let me just read you the other ingredients because this tea is fucking glorious. It is chamomile flower, lime flower, elderflower, marigold flower, licorice root, rose flower and lavender flower. And it is totally going to be gorgeous. I'm inhaling the infusion and oh my god. When I made the informed decision to start doing tea and tarot regularly again, I decided that what I was going to do every so often is something called random wisdom. And random wisdom, the idea behind it is that instead of choosing a key topic to discuss and drawing cards consciously to give advice on that topic, it's going to basically be more about me just shuffling the cards, doing some random selections and talking from the heart. And I hope that you really enjoy them. I've got my Rider-Waite, so I'm going to give them a good old shuffle and just see if I can riff off of the results and see what happens. The Three of Pentacles is so often considered to be this card which is all about craftsmanship, about building, about progress and process, and actually learning how to craft something that you want, or working out how to lay the foundations and take instruction on how to actually create something that you have in your mind, how to bring a vision into tangible reality. And there's quite a lot of discipline involved in that. I think sometimes the Three of Pentacles can teach us that in order to design the life that we want, we have to kind of get crystal clear and laser focused on what that high vision looks like and on the practical steps to bring it into fruition. The Three of Pentacles, and actually the suit of Pentacles as a general rule, is kind of very much about bringing those lofty dreams down into the earthly realm, putting our feet on the ground, taking our head out of the clouds and really thinking about what the practical steps are, what is the strategy, what can our pragmatic approach be to get where we want to go. And the Three of Pentacles also for me is quite a lot of the time about taking instruction, being open to teaching, listening and understanding what it is that you need to do to get where you want to go. So it's about being a lot less headstrong, and that's a really important message for a lot of people at a lot of different times in their lives, right? It's just basically to be more open to what is being taught. And I'm not talking about, you know, just teaching from mentors or just teaching from kind of a financial advisor or from your professor or even from your partner or your loved ones. I'm talking about teaching from the universe. Sometimes it's important to clear away the mental debris and the emotional clutter and just listen, tune in with what cosmos is trying to teach you and how you can use those lessons to kind of forge forward and build what it is that you want to build. The Three of Pentacles is really about construction, and it's about avoiding sloppiness in that construction. So it is really about precision. It's about learning how to be precise and how to kind of make sure that all of the architectural structure is in order and you know how everything works. Sloppiness in your work, sloppiness in the pursuit of your dreams is going to lead to regret later on. So really, I think a lot of the time the Three of Pentacles calls upon us to crystallise our intentions, get set on what our high vision really is, and then break that goal down into something manageable, something realistic, and be very clear with yourself about what your own expectations are for the work that you're going to put in to whatever it is that you're going after. And I think this is such a powerful and appropriate message for this time of year. I am really feeling the new year energies. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just so excited. Please cool down. I want to drink you. Oh no, that's good. I am going to drink these in absolutely no time. I can't remember how many you get in one box, but I knew as soon as I saw them that I had to buy them. And actually I didn't buy them, I left without them, and then I just went back today and I was like, sod it, I need that tea. Judgment reverse. Yes, I do read reversals. For the purposes of random wisdom, I've decided to keep reversals in because it really is just about shuffling and cutting the deck and just kind of riffing. Quite often this card, when it appears in a reverse position, is kind of urging you and asking you to take a look at the terrain of your life right now and have a look at what you are attributing to some kind of outside influence or to somebody else or to something that's beyond your control, and actually be honest with yourself about where you could take more control, about where the power really is in your hands, because a lot of the time we do convince ourselves that we're powerless, that there's nothing that we can do to change the situation, there's nothing we can do to create that positive shift or fuel that positive transition. But I think sometimes Judgment Reversed really calls upon us to be more realistic and to be more aware of where our own accountability can lie and how much power we really do have within ourselves to change something. I also think Judgment Reversed has another really kind of key energy of change and whereabouts you might be standing in your own way. A lot of the time I like to read reversals as a blind spot, something that's not quite being seen for what it is yet, something that might still be in the unconscious or might be kind of skewed or being seen as a projection. And I look at where we can actually purify our way of seeing something. So I look at what the reversal is maybe trying to tell me and tell my client about where they might want to look at something with a little bit kind of less clutter and a little bit more of a pure gaze and a real kind of radical acceptance to their way of adjusting their perception of something. So when judgment's reversed, I think sometimes it can ask us to consider, where are we standing in our own way when it comes to making change, when it comes to evolving and shedding that skin. It's Yule tomorrow, and Yule is where we get that big shift in the energy. It's really that kind of duality. It's that release and receive. It's the darkness turning into the light. It's the return of that solar majesty. It's the meeting between the inner realm and inner work and the outer realm and the tangible results of that work. So I think Judgment Reverse maybe could be just asking us to all get very clear on the fact that we don't want to stand in our own way. We really want to get out of our own way and allow ourselves to go on that journey and to really shift and flow with those changing energies and make really magical things happen, rather than, you know, negative self-talk holding us back, limiting beliefs holding us back, maybe telling ourselves that we can't act in our own interest until somebody else acts in our own interest, maybe telling ourselves that something in the outer situation has to change before we can really get on the horse and kind of ride that horse to glory. Where are we holding ourselves back with those beliefs? Where are we actually not recognizing how much power we have to make changes? And even the very, very smallest of changes can snowball. They can get that power behind them and they can really, you know, it's like that beating of a butterfly's wing starting a hurricane on the other side of the world. That incredible kind of hypotheses, that interesting way of looking at cause and effect. Where can those small changes come into play right now that you don't need anyone else to help you with, that you don't need to wait to actually bring into fruition? You can do that for yourself right now, and you can see the positive benefits start to take shape in the future. So really, how can you stand in your power now in order to develop and shape and design the future that you want? That is absolutely divine. I really wish I could pass this cup through the screen and allow you to have some for yourself. It's just glorious. Okay, the third and final card. The King of Swords. I love this guy so much. I just had to get up and check the time because it's getting so dark so quickly these days that I always worry that it's later than I think it is, and I'm speaking to a client at 4, so I was like, oh my god, is it 4 o'clock already? But it's probably going to be pitch dark by the time it gets to 4 o'clock, to be fair. There's so much that I could say about this guy, but what I really feel called to mention is the way that the King of Swords really aligns himself with the notion of objectivity. So I would kind of urge you to consider whereabouts you need to be more objective, whereabouts your perspective may be full of personal projections and biases and certain ways of seeing things which are not helpful to you, whereabouts you may be colouring the situation according to your truth, according to your perspective, and whereabouts are you perhaps not allowing other people to come forth and explain their own point of view or explain what the situation means to them? Where are you being too presumptuous? Where are you jumping to conclusions before you have all of the facts? The King of Swords is very much about making his decision based on objective realities, based on truths, based on tangible evidence which he can kind of collate. And so I think sometimes the King of Swords calls us to do the same and calls us to really stand in that energy of objectivity and ensure that we are not colouring things too quickly with our own perceptions. Just take a look at whereabouts your thinking might have become unhelpful, and take a look at whereabouts you can stand back and behave a little bit more dispassionately or see things with a little bit more of a detached perspective. This can be very difficult when you're taking things personally, so that might be something to look at in particular. I think in all of our lives there are certain situations where we find it really difficult to just look at the facts as they are because we are taking something personally or being defensive, or kind of succumbing to judgments, you know, judgments which may not have hard and fast facts behind them. So sometimes I think the King of Swords just calls upon us to go to that more dispassionate and centered and balanced place. Really just wait for the facts before you decide what they are. Be patient with that, you know, that is a process of uncovering and unraveling and discovery. And it's not something that you can run into hot-headedly and kind of decide things before you really know what's going on. So sometimes there's a calmness, there's a centeredness to the King of Swords that is quite often missing in our own lives. lives. And when we actually reach that calm center, when we are prepared to wait for the unraveling of the situation, when we are prepared to wait to see how we feel about something, and when we're prepared to actually refrain from acting until we are in that more balanced place, then things can begin to kind of move more positively and things can kind of feel more positive. I think quite often it's easy for us to see, kind of watch ourselves charging into something before we really know how we feel, before we really know how other people feel, before we really know what the right way forward is. Sometimes the King of Swords just reminds us to hang back and kind of adopt that perspective of the you know, the calm, kind of calm before the storm figure, that kind of figure of like, I'm just going to stand here and wait and see how it plays out. And if other people want to be hot-headed, if other people want to be reactionary, then that's their decision, you know. Drop the judgment of those people, drop the superiority that you feel over those people, allow those people to do what they've got to do. But for your part, you know, it's time to reclaim power and actually understand that you can own your decisions on how you want to act and when you want to speak and what you want to say. And you don't necessarily have to be reactionary, you don't have to be hot-headed. There are other ways of doing it and going about it, and sometimes the King of Swords just kind of allows you to have that understanding and that realisation. Okay lovelies, this has been a random wisdom edition of Tea and Tarot. Much love to you all, have a very, very blessed Yule. I hope it is magical and glorious and full of wonderment. Blessed be.